Okay, so I'm going to apologize beforehand. The chairman could not be here today, Chairman Kip, so I'm going to do my best.
You got it.
Big shoes.
Got big shoes, yeah.
So I'm going to call to order the County Government Committee for April 2025. There are two department heads that need to leave right after they report, and that's Michael and Jim. So let's start off with Michael.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, whatever it falls under. Okay, so as certainly anyone who served on this committee knows, our department assists with overseeing employee benefits. We do the PBM, which is our pharmacy benefit manager. We do our Section 125 cafeteria plan, which is our flexible spending, as well as our ASO, which is our self-insured health plan currently with CDPHP. So we are required to do RFPs for these. Traditionally, we enter into a 3-year agreement with 2 additional 1 years. So being that there are 2 of them are set to expire at the end of this year, we would like to get the band together and go out to RFP for all 3 of the services.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Great.
Carried.
Thank you. The uniform payroll policy was originally passed by board resolution in 2014. Since that time, we have gone over that policy for 4 different revisions, 15, 16, 2017, and 2018. And as part of an annual review, we just went through and we're looking at current practices, things that needed to be added to the policy, things that needed to be revised in reference to current procedures and how things are handled in payroll and with our procedures within the county. So this is the current first one, being the table of contents was added because there was never anything to the policy that was originally done by our labor attorney group. It was prior to me coming on as HR director. So we have added that. We have added the no work from home area unless under an ADA reasonable accommodation. We have added the classifications for payroll because there was, if you don't mind going back to the tables down to the bottom. Down. I'm sorry, yeah, to the bottom, down to the bottom, I'm sorry. We actually split out. Now, these positions are non-union, so it is every single title that the county currently has that is not covered by a collective bargaining agreement. So the title in some way, shape, or form fits on one of these categories, whether it is non-bargaining unit, whether it's management, whether it's exempt from overtime under the Fair Labor Standards Act, or is it, you can keep going through the schedules because each schedule is the same thing. It's just, it's different groups. This is your full-time management exempt in Group B. So it fully breaks down and classifies how every single position is handled. So this way, when a department head hires someone, either in a management stance or if, it's a department head that comes in, they know exactly what their classification is and what their benefits are. We've also provided a split as far as what the difference between management and non-bargaining unit vacation accruals are. It tightened the approval signature for DTO that's earned, talks about vacation thresholds, updated caps for DTO, our elections commissioners and their standards under classification in our payroll system, differences in the method of accruing vacation, and updated rollover limits to coincide with the UPSC contract.
Thank you.
Can I ask about the remote work
Yes.
authorizations?
Mhm.
I guess I wonder if we need exceptions, like, I don't know, if something, an emergency happens overnight and IT needs to do work from home.
So remote work from home is different for someone who is doing work as part of their standard workday versus someone who provides an after on-call function.
Okay,
So if, say, for example, I am a captain in jail and they're home and they're going to get paid for the work that they do. They're not going to come into necessarily public safety to perform that function. If a supervisor, the chairman called me on a Saturday and I had to gain access to Tyler, I would have a laptop to do that. That is not work from home.
okay,
Work from home is individuals feeling that they should be able to work from home because their child's sick. So they call in and say, hey, can I work from home?
right.
We do not have a work from home anything unless it falls under ADA accommodation. So
Okay.
it's for standard work days. So I apologize for the confusion on that.
Okay, and is that described? I mean,
It is.
that's.
Yep, it explains in here as part of their standard work day.
Okay.
So that way it's not in their regular 35 to 40 hours.
All right.
So thank you. No, that's a
Okay.
great question. Thank you very much.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion and thank you for all the work on that.
Yeah, no problem. I know what I do.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
We had 4 seconds.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Wonderful. Thank you all very much for your support. And thank you for letting me go. I apologize for having it.
Before we bring Jim up here, I just want to wish Supervisor Brenda Adams happy birthday.
She's working on her birthday.
24,
Double
right?
time for you.
Did you make a cake too? or-
Yeah.
We have, I had cake.
Okay, all right.
You're on.
We had candles.
We should have brought a cake.
No, you're gonna,
No, we're gonna.
you're gonna be
ask
stuck
for
on
something
for the recipe for her. That'll be
Oh,
enough.
yeah.
For the last one, you'll hear it.
I have 4 real categories I want to go over in addition to my normal testing things. First, you're probably all aware of Sharon's Market in Chatham had an issue with their diesel. I got a phone call early morning one day from a young man who said he got diesel and it was contaminated. So I immediately went out and took a sample. I used our measuring stick to put it in the tank along with, there's a water indicating paste that you put on the stick. And if there's, well, not so much contaminants, but if there's water in the fuel, it'll be indicated by the paste turning color. That wasn't the case. There was no indication of water. So we sent the sample out to the lab. It goes to Albany first and then from Albany to New Jersey. In the meantime, I received several more complaints. I went out again the following day and had them tag the pump so people wouldn't continue getting bad diesel. A few days after that, they had an outside firm come in who pumped out the diesel tank, and it did indeed show contamination. It fell back upon the distributor who actually delivered bad fuel to them. Once the new fuel was in place, I took a second sample, same thing, sent it out. Interestingly, both samples came back fine. They didn't show any contaminants. The flash points were where they needed to be. The only thing that the state has said it could be is some of these older tanks have a false bottom in them, where the contaminants normally will settle to the bottom since water's heavier than the gas and diesel. And if enough had been pumped out prior to my sample, it may not have shown anything. But the company who delivered it was in fact liable. They reimbursed everyone. So the people who got bad fuel have all been reimbursed.
They had like damage to their cars and that's how they knew that there was a problem.
The first guy had an issue driving home and he only lived like a block or so away. Another guy was a farmer who, as he was pouring the diesel into his tractor, noticed that it didn't look right. First guy actually went back and did a video of a sample going into a quart jar, and it just looked horrible. It wasn't what diesel fuel should look like. So there's still somewhat of a mystery as to why the samples came back as good as they did and why the indicators pace showed nothing. But again, it must have been the false bottom in this tank. So after that, I got to go to Price Chopper in Chatham and fine them $2,400 for underweight packages. And the same with Hannaford and Valatia. They also had, there were 4 items, 4 categories of items that were underweight. And the county were allowed to fine $600 per lot per item. So that's where the $2,400 comes from. And finally, the most important change in my monthly routine.
Oh, hey, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
So I want the rest.
It's my first prize for winning my ethanol-free chocolate chili.
And you will share the recipe,
Of
right?
course, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all I have. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Anybody have anything?
I won second prize for the dessert.
Yes, you did.
For you.
May I ask, did you, Chairman, may I ask a
Yeah,
question?
sure, absolutely.
Did you take a sample from the pump or just dip it into the tank?
No, I took our samples go into a 1 gallon container and we take 8/10 of a gallon just to allow for expansion and so it won't spill. So 8/10 of a gallon were taken the morning, or actually it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the day of all the complaints. And then the second 8/10 of a gallon sample was taken after the fresh delivery had come in.
Through the pump, not later?
No, from the dispenser itself.
Yeah.
And what is the bottom of this tank? How does that function? Or a false bottom?
It's just
Is it a floating
that,
bottom?
no, it's from what I understand, it's a welded in place baffle.
But they just did those, put
Yeah.
diesel in there a few years
It
ago.
could be the pipe doesn't go to the bottom, it's this far from the bottom.
That could
And
be
the
as
sediment
well.
settles.
Mhm.
That's what I would think.
But it's still confusing why the stick
Yeah.
that went all the way down. I mean, it was,
Right.
I just had an inch or two before I would have lost it in the hole. Still showed nothing.
Wow.
So yeah, without a camera going into
The
this.
distributor knew something and they're just taking care of it. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Fender is that?
So was
Is
it water
mobile
though?
or-
Yeah, that's one.
So I'm wondering if it,
You said the water didn't show up on the stick, but that's,
We didn't send those samples
It's in the
out
mix
because
well.
we couldn't tell where they actually came from. I have to be the one to collect the sample.
Right.
There to be,
but it didn't show up at any other mobile stations that the distributor services.
not that I've heard of, no.
So it sounds like it was a site issue, not a fuel issue.
Yeah, and our state guy was aware of it and he has not heard of any other instances of this occurring. So originally we thought that there could be a break in a line somewhere allowing the contaminant to get into the tank, but apparently that's not the case either.
Lucky for them, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
could I ask one more question? I know you
Yeah,
have to
sure.
leave, so I'm sorry, but the grocery stores that you find
Mhm.
for underweight packages, were those like their own brand packages or were they from?
One of them was. One was in the Price Chopper Chatham, their cinnamon buns were underweight. And typically when that occurs from the limited times that I've done it, it's normally just whoever is packaging neglects putting in a tear weight of the container. So they'll weigh the entire package and they'll say 1 pound, but then when you take the buns out of the overwrap and the tin or whatever they're packaged in, they're 14 or 15 ounces. In an instance like that, we tell them you can either relabel with the correct weight, or if it's a cinnamon bun, add some more frosting, bring it up to the 1 pound and put it back out. On the other hand, if it's corn tortillas that are packaged, God knows where, and distributed by someone in New York, yeah, they have to come off the shelf. And Price Chopper, from what I'm told, if we find them $2,400, they'll take the 600 and add 1,000 to that. So the guy selling them the corn tortillas is actually going to get billed by Price Chopper.
That's right, yeah. There's administration fees, in other words, yeah, right. I can believe
Kind
it.
of keeps-
Wow.
Baked goods are hard though, because the same person two different people can bake the same recipe and the cake can weigh totally different depending on the air and how it was made.
And what's the other odd thing is with Hannaford, a lot of their tear weights are pre-programmed into their scales. So they really don't even get an opportunity to change that. But if there's out of a certain container and they substitute another one, that's where the issues come in. So,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Thank you.
See you later. You're picking on cinnamon buns too often. Now, he told me to be careful and be good to you.
I'm not talking about.
Oh, there you go.
Well, if you want to make it better, just add more frosting to the cinnamon.
Right, yeah.
I said I would have had to taste them.
Unfortunately, we didn't bring in cinnamon buns.
Oh.
Sorry. Our first thing is we're seeking authorization to enter into a agreement with repeat business for a folder inserter machine. Move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
They like to read
So that's a
circles.
standard.
And-
The only other things is the data collectors have finished data collecting in the village of Philmont, and they'll start in the town of Fallbrook at the end of April. Suzette and myself attended the NERDS meeting at the Saratoga County Rural Property Tax Service Agency.
And NERDS is
Is that really a
Northeastern.
nerd class or?
Northeastern Regional Directors.
There you go.
So,
Brenda.
Yeah.
That's what NERDS is.
so just in the resolution, it says in the town, but it doesn't say which town. And you did just say Clover, but
Oh, yeah.
the resolution doesn't include the.
Oh, yeah. and that's right.
Yeah.
So it's Northeastern what?
Northeastern Regional Directors.
Regional directors, okay.
Yes.
And then, Tyler
We like
passed,
nerds.
Tyler passed the first section of his residential valuation class. And, we'll be holding the bar training in the board chambers on May 6th.
And bar is
Board
Board
of
Assessment
Assessment
Review.
Not drinking.
No.
Hey,
They're drinking in the chambers.
So but it's still by invitation only, right? Bar members.
Correct. Bar members, yes.
Has this been announced? Do they know that? Okay.
Yes, yeah, everybody was mailed a letter back in, March 3rd.
Okay.
And everybody's RSVP that needs to, or is going to another town or another county to get the training, so.
Everybody
They have
that's
to do that
required,
annually,
not every member is required to go every year, but when they're reappointed or newly appointed,
Right.
they have to go, so at least every 5 years.
So at least there's one person each year, because that's the term
Right.
cycle.
We only have one resolution.
That's at the town center.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mark Van Dorst from Stockholm has agreed to be the chair of the bar.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
It's Tyler was.
right,
Yeah.
good.
That's it?
All right, that's it.
That's record.
Nice. It's hard for Suzette, though.
Because Kippy's not here, that's
That's
It's true.
We could think of a question, but.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Help us out.
Right up.
Watch out.
Not bad.
How are you? Good. Hello, dear. Hello, everybody.
What's new with the umbrella?
Chairman. Hey, Supervisor. That's what they called me, so.
Oh. I never heard anybody call you that.
No, these.
But they called me that too. How is everybody?
Great.
All right, so our first item is the veterans claims. We haven't heard anything official yet regarding anything about veterans claims being cut or anything along those lines. So Nellie and I are still filing claims for veterans. Number two, veterans showing more illnesses now from their exposures. From Agent Orange, toxic exposures, PACT Act, Camp Lejeune. A lot of them are comorbid, prostate cancer, PTSD, the depression, anxiety, bladder cancer. A lot of cancers, unfortunately.
Josh Riley just had a new bill about bladder cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that,
Is that in the open pit burning?
How far they go back?
It could be from Agent Orange.
Exposure. Are we talking about Agent Orange from the Vietnam?
Yeah. Yeah.
In Camp Lejeune, we have a lot of bladder cancer from the
From the water.
water. We have one vet that came in. You have to be there for 30 days. He was there for 28 and he has bladder cancer. The other one has had numerous bags. He actually walked around, his whole waistline was covered with bags. He's down to 3 from 8, because of bladder cancer from Camp Lejeune. So it's all different,
Wow.
Yeah.
I got 3 veterans, 100%.
Yeah.
One is total and permanent, and then the 2 are just 100%. One actually went from 0% to 100% for bladder. cancer, just bladder cancer. On April 29th, we've got a luncheon that's fully catered and donated for Vietnam and Korea War veterans. It's their day of recognition.
Nice.
And that'll be in the Dwyer Room, and it's actually, we had to tell a few people they couldn't make it because we wanted to make sure there was enough space for all the veterans.
We'll limit it. Could have put another 100 in. But you don't have that room.
The Patriot Flight is coming up on April 23rd, right? Saturday?
Yeah, April 23rd, we have 2 veterans that went local here. One is Rita's father, actually, that works here, Bernie, and another one is another vet. He was Vietnam and her father was Korea vets, and that's all that can go, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
To
We
Washington, is that where that goes?
They go to Washington. The other vet didn't have a computer. I had to do his application for him and communicate with him. He had no email, of course, but no computer. He had a phone, didn't know how to use that either. But we got him going, and it's all funded and paid for. Rita's father has a chaperone, which they had to pay $450 to go with them, which is no problem.
Rita here? Bernie?
Yeah, Bernie,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
he's gone. I talked him into it. He's like, so,
Good for him.
yeah.
We wanted to thank Kelly for, at the last meeting, passing information on to the town supervisors.
Nice job.
We appreciate that, sharing the information. Patsy can share the pantry report.
So we had to go on to 5 days. We were 4. We're very blessed. Especially we're more blessed than other pantries I see because we don't go to regional food bank. And their funding has been cut somewhat. So we do all from donations. I just had Stuyvesant Fire Company give me a truckload of food. I recognize this kid Jackson, who was 10 years old and has 20 chickens. And every week he brought me his eggs and wrote, "Thank you for your service" on the cartons. We acknowledged him the other day. But we are busy. We did hand dinners and so forth for veterans, and I'm still giving some out. I have a couple turkeys to give to those that don't eat pork. And we're finding that we're getting a little bit more in families. It's not just veterans alone, it's a lot more families, which is common, because they just can't make it to the end of the month at all. So we're really blessed in a lot of ways. I have problems with meat. I always have to go and buy meat. But we had a couple. I have the VFW in Ghent. Her and I coordinated, a couple of them coordinated. And so they asked me what would I want. I told them how I wanted the meat, and they're going to be, after Easter, give me a shipment of hot dogs. This might sound crazy. Hot dogs. They said we have steaks. I said, don't give me steaks. They go, why? I said, they don't eat steaks. But if you cut that into stew meat, they'll eat the stew meat. They will not eat, they don't eat steaks. Hot dogs, kibasi, sausage, stuff like that. So they're going to help me out after Easter once I get the hams out and so forth. And which is good. I don't need no more ramen noodles, so please, no more.
Or mac and cheese.
Oh, mac and cheese. And we help other pantries. We'll swip and swap with other pantries because they never get. The reason why we don't go to regional food bank, besides the crazy paperwork, is that they don't supply Spam or beef stew in a can. I call it meat in a can. So that's your tuna, your sardines, stuff like that, salmon. So that's why they don't supply that, and I have to get what they want. It's usually nothing that I want. And I'm I network a lot daily on that. Come to the last thing is homeless for vets. The reason why I really wanted to show is that last month, Rachel was saying, so after this is the first time in 5.5 years that Columbia County's had homeless veterans partake in this county. They've come in, we've given them clothing, socks. Socks is a big thing. Nobody has socks. We have plenty of socks to give them, including underarms and toiletries and so forth, meat. And so there's nothing that they can really go to. The VA brings them down to us also because the local that picked them up try to take them to a housing or to a place of shelter. We've sent quite a few to the warming center. There are some that will not go back because of the smell of either smoke or bodily not cleanliness, and they couldn't handle that. But they have a lot of, ailments as it is, a lot of these veterans. And, PTSD and stuff like that we are dealing with them. Rent is the biggest problem. They're getting kicked out. They can't afford where they are. I have 4 right now. I'm looking for places for them. I spoke to the people in your town, Matt, but they won't be ready for some time. And they have the small houses that are going for veterans out in Ghent, I think it is, and that won't be ready right away either. So rent is a big thing. I have the one vet, he doesn't want to give up his dog, but if he has to, but he's going to be out within a month of where he is. And we're talking, he only gets $643 a month. So where he lives now is $400. And I just have to, and he's trying. I mean, he lost his wife, so he became a hermit after that. I actually got him coming to coffee hour. I knew him for many years, and he's starting to come to our luncheons, which is a good thing, but but he can't find any place reasonable enough. And that's a sad thing. The other vet I found a place, $700, it was right up here on the road on the corner. But it was sharing the bathroom, and she's a woman, and she just couldn't take that of sharing with other people and so forth. So it's not easy out there. I believe everybody should count their blessings, in that regard. But that's our biggest problem here.
The $640 some you said, where's that coming from? Is that military pay or is that Social Security or?
He gets some military, he's not rated high, and he gets Social Security.
So the combination only comes up to 600?
Yeah, you only get 10% with hearing, that's all. He was never deployed and so forth. Rachel's working on his case now, trying to help him out,
Good Social Security.
His Social Security, he didn't work much, he was a custodian, all right, and he worked a lot off the books. And he worked on a farm for many years, and that was the problem. His wife had the income, but was never joined. His wife died suddenly, and that's what happened. So he lives in a very little place that, it won't last. So
Patsy, there's a program in Berkshire County called the Soldier On.
where we deal with them. Yeah,
Is it
we
a
do deal
national
with them. They
program?
were maxed out.
Yeah.
They've been maxed out a lot. We do, actually, we send, some of our blankets over to them that we get and stuff like that, because they'll call me and say, we need something. And some toiletries. I have a dentist that gives me all these toothbrushes. Anybody needs toothbrushes? I have some. So toothpaste, so they'll call me and say, can we have some toiletries? And I'll send stuff like that over to them. So we do work with Soldier, but they've been at full capacity too.
But that is the
states.
housing program, right?
Yes, but they don't have a big house. It's not real big, but.
Do you have any families?
Huh?
Families? Veterans?
Yes, not a homeless, no. I don't think that one was homeless. We had one guy living out of a truck. And he's not, but we have a woman living out of a car. But with families, we did have one, but I think he found a job and found housing. He got, something happened with his house or something. And then what we did, the VA, I called Valeria up at the VA, and she got him a house with the family, and so he was able to get a job. And the trouble with starting a job, because he came to the pantry like every day for food, because he has 4 kids. The trouble with the job is that you don't get paid right away, so luckily the Dwyer program helps you out. We help them out and so forth. And he came like literally almost every day for food, and stuff like that. So.
Have you ever dealt with a national home?
No.
It's always an avenue. You have a family.
Yeah, I mean, the families are just break your heart. We have quite a few, yeah. But we're working, trying to help, and so forth. We do the best we can.
I have a question, Patsy. What's this issue with the warming center?
The what?
The warming center, no.
Well, one of the vets, when they went in and they went with this, from the VA was, everything smelled like cigarettes. All right, that was still, they might not be smoking in there, but of course, you know how when someone smokes, and I'm an ex-smoker, so I know.
Right,
You still smell like it, and they got coughing, you
right.
know, and stuff like that. The other one was, went in and all you could smell was BO, body odor, which, you know, you can't, you know, what are you gonna say, take a shower? I don't know.
Those
you
are
know.
very tight quarters, though.
And
It's very tight.
it is, and that's what, you know, so that's part of an issue there. And I talked to the coordinator down there, because, we were talking about helping with food and stuff like that, and, the soup kitchen, because I know they don't cook down there. So I was asking, what can they have that we can, you know, maybe share snacks or something like that with them, you know, and so forth. So,
You know-
or what can they bring in? That was the other issue. What can they bring with them?
Recovery Kitchen would supply food, but
Huh?
they have to have an address to take it to.
The what?
Recovery Kitchen.
Yeah, they contacted me. I know her, and she's been, you know, her and I work, and she should be back from her trip or wherever she was, Florida. And we're supposed to have a meeting with her again. We're very, very blessed. So that every day, every Monday, Rachel goes and picks, you ever hear of All Town Foods? So they supply us with sandwiches and salads, lox and bagels, bean salad, regular choice salad. And so she goes down, and for nothing, they give us that. So in the game room, all the vets get something to eat. And then if whoever comes into the pantry, we give them a fresh sandwich, salads, beans, whatever they want. So they've been loving that. It's been in Danish, you know, someone look good, I have to test some. But, you know.
So the other thing we need to talk to you about is the many towns. I know Ankrum does. We do have programs like Neighbors Helping Neighbors.
Mhm.
So if people are in the community and need help with basic needs, there's basically no condition. It's just a grant.
Right.
To buy clothes, food, gas, medicine, whatever. So we probably should share that information.
You
with
should share that some of, because they come from different towns and so forth. The good thing about Rachel and with my guidance, but no, with Rachel, is that we really will go that extra mile. She goes that extra mile, and it's that, you know, that family that needs something, those veterans, it's a husband and wife, and they need help and so forth. The trouble is cost of living, you know, rents are crazy, and just, you know, it's outrageous. We have, I mean, a couple now that we're looking for a place for them. They're going to be out of Hudson soon, you know, and they were transported here, and he just, you know, he's trying, but he said the rent is over $2,000 a month. I mean, for what? You know?
So the other thing is there's these neighbor helping programs, and also our seniors adopt a couple of families every
Mhm.
holiday. So if that's needed to be
And
adopted.
you have help, yes,
Yeah.
and we do that too. We did we did a lot for Christmas, a lot. Besides all the veterans and all the nursing homes got a big gift that was all donated. I mean, we had bags like this big from TJ Maxx, you know, the regular bags. We filled them up with stuff that people donated, blankets, sweaters, and stuff like that for them. And besides food and other things, but that's the thing. I have a couple of these organizations that are giving me already stuff like that, but it's hard. It's, you know, you just don't realize how much is out there that's needed. But it's not just veterans, it's everybody. All the pantries are talking to me, and we all see it. You know, you just say, oh, you know, at home, I don't throw anything out. I eat whatever I can now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, housing in general is gonna be difficult for this type of client, unless it's completely subsidized.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about locally subsidized, completely subsidized. So if you know how to pass off a $400 a month rent, you know, state and federal governments have to get involved. This isn't a local issue. So much. The local will help out, but you'll never find individuals who own units, apartments, or anything like that be able to afford themselves to give it up.
Well, we find that that's the issue because of taxes and everything else, and
Yeah.
they understand that, you know. But even if it's a room, with, like a room, the one I got up here was 7 something a month, but it was a room and it went by monthly, yeah, but it was just a room,
In Hudson.
yeah. Yeah.
Talk to Eric Galloway, he's got a lot of progress.
I actually
What to do?
Gavin. I'm working with Gavin on a couple of veterans that need some help and stuff like that, and they said they exceeded their budget, and I called them out on it, and I just said, you can't, you're talking February, you can't go do your whole budget already, but we're trying, anybody. And who would you say? Gavin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't, trust me. I'm Irish, the stuff.
You?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you need.
Huh?
Sometimes that's what you need.
But if any of you guys know anything too, that'd be a nice thing that you guys can definitely, help us out on. If you have any ideas.
If you have any kind of statistics or anything like that about how many people need housing and what kind of housing they need, is it single room only? Is it, one, family or anything like that? That would be helpful.
Yeah, pets, not pets.
Yeah, pets or not pets, we find that that's the other issue.
Well, that
Yeah,
is-
we don't want them to have to give up their pet because that's part of their family.
I mean, we go through pet food like crazy in the pantry, and cat litter or whatever, a chinchilla pet food too, somebody gave me.
You still have one?
Yeah, no.
Anybody have a chinchilla or parrot? Wasn't there parrot
Oh,
food?
really? I think we got rid of the parrot.
Yeah.
I think I fed it to him.
Guys, that's having to visualize.
Thank you, guys.
I really appreciate you guys.
I just want to add one verbal update that I forgot to put on the agenda. We did hire a per diem driver.
Oh, good.
And he is working out very well.
Great,
Good.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that is all.
Okay, thanks for the report.
The 29th, I
Thank you.
got 40 some odd veterans, all veterans coming.
Great.
All kinds. So I'm very happy. Chicken farm with spaghetti and donating salad.
Nice.
Very good.
I'll sell
Can you
the
ask-
rest on the
Can we ask
corner.
who donated it or
Huh?
is it anonymous or
No, she's a veteran.
who
And she's a
donated it?
caterer. Yes,
Nice.
and she's one of my volunteers too.
It's not Maggie Drennan, is it?
Huh?
It's not Maggie Drennan, is it?
No, no.
Because she might do.
Yeah, and she's set up cooking and all we had to get her was the containers, because we're serving it.
That's great.
It's nice. Yeah. All right, nice seeing you guys. Don't go anywhere.
Seeing you.
Oh, Come Adam is back, Betsy, actually. come back.
Trust me.
Spice up this meeting.
Supervisor,
I spice it up here.
Tubman.
I'll talk to you soon.
You want to
Take
talk
care.
about it or?
Take care, dear. Thank you.
Adam's here purposely.
Thank you very
much. What you want to do.
We were gonna ask him questions about it.
Yeah.
Take it easy. Let him not make some noise.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Okay.
Do we have questions for?
On the tub.
Are you aware of the? A little, I might be a little. bit
Yeah,
aware.
I got some information on this from town.
Let's discuss and see if. we
All
can
right, because
roadblock.
Supervisor Wolf.
Yeah.
Wanted to present it, but he's not here. So, and Adam Miller is here from tourism, has a little bit of information as well.
Oh,
Let's talk about it and see where it is.
Okay.
I think it
why
works.
don't we get,
Actually, I just got an email update, which I did send to you, so you'll have it
Okay.
for future.
did you see this?
Is this kind of
I
like
had
the
a
scenic
resolution.
highway program? Where you take the roads are marked?
Yes, so this is, the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Scenic Byway.
Right.
And it currently is in, let me think, Delaware and Maryland. It will be going through New Jersey. Delaware and Maryland have the byway already, and it's active. I don't believe New Jersey is as far along as even New York State is. And Kelly is showing
The map of where.
the current map of where it goes. So in Columbia County, it enters the south in Germantown, goes up 9G into Hudson. We'll take Route 9 and then get on 9J. The
reasoning for this is because it cannot compete, if I'm understanding, with any other byways, or if the roads are like a memorial route or something like that. That's why they've chosen this. Because we've had concerns about them missing the village of Kinderhook, which does not, to my knowledge, I wish the historian was here because they would probably have better knowledge, have any properties that are officially part of the Underground Railroad. But it does have the Person of Color Cemetery, which we thought should be promoted with this. But we were told it goes through 9J, and it doesn't mean that in future marketing material we can't include the village or even other parts of the county like Kobe, Germantown, Australia.
But I thought it was in the western part of the county. Isn't it in the western part of the county?
So there's two phases of promotion. You'll have the byway. And then when it comes to promotion of it, that's where your county TPA and the county historian will get together, and we can then choose to do our own promotion. If funding applies, most likely we will do enhancements to our tourism website to have sites that we know participate into the program. We could then, as the county, do signage, placards, and those promotions that we do with our funds could include the villages of Kinderhook. It could include Ankrum. It could include throughout the whole county because we're using our county funding for it. They wouldn't be included though into the funding here.
So that was my question with this when this came to me in the town, and I was a little unclear as to were they looking for funding. I mean, to do a resolution of support is one thing, but then are you locked into, or are they trying to?
It says there that the state DOT would do the signage with no financial commitment from municipalities. It seems like the key thing that they're asking us is that next paragraph about billboards, that we would be committing to not install commercial billboards along the route.
Yeah.
Which, for me, it says you can have signage related to a building. If a building is there, a building can have a sign advertising the building, but you just wouldn't have billboards that are unrelated to the location. So I don't know how many locations we have where we have advertising billboards, or how much, especially the county.
You would have on New Orleans or Stockport, yeah, they've got quite a few.
The ones that are
But
there.
it says in your new, it doesn't say anything about existing.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Capital letters.
So how much does the county want to approve of new? It's also for,
And how do we regulate them not doing it? We've never had any.
So that was part of my question, was like, I don't even know how much the county approved, like how much would the county be? It sort of says that like we wouldn't be approving new ones, which I don't know how much we do that anyway.
Well, in today's email that I received, and Kelly has it, which is why this is probably going to be an ongoing discussion. It does say pending resolutions, and it lists the towns in Columbia County that they are waiting for. Greenport, Stockport, Stuyvesant. The city of Hudson has actually passed a resolution according to this. It has not been notarized yet, which I must say I've not heard anything taking place in Hudson, so I may have missed it. I usually try to keep up on meeting information, but according to this, city of Hudson did pass a resolution. And as for funding, it is my understanding after attending meetings that there is a funding requirement from the county, not from the towns. And we actually received an invoice back in the fall for $5,000. After discussion with the controller and not being able to get a solid answer from this organization of what the money was going for, we decided not to proceed with payment of it.
Okay.
We didn't have 5,000 tourism budget to do it anyways, but I had considered doing a $2,500 donation to them, but they could not give us any answer of actually what the funds were going for. And it's way too early to do marketing. So with
Is there a
that,
contract or just a resolution supporting what is the agreement? Is this is a resolution? Is this the subtotal of the agreement? Or this is the draft resolution?
This is a draft resolution
Is
for our
this-
town.
Yeah.
Right. So is this what we'd be asking the county to do, or would we ask?
Do we
the
need
county?
to ask the county to do it? Do we just need to encourage the towns along the way to? do
Well,
it?
he's asking the county because, let me just,
it is,
I didn't know why he was bringing it to us, but I thought he would have some information. there.
well, yeah,
I
someone
was
from
hoping
the
it would inform
state,
me. 'Cause-
right, was asking him to bring this to the county. And that's when it came into the fact that, is there money involved? Because if there's money involved, we're not budgeted for it, you know,
Right.
we'd have to do it for next year. So he was just looking for a resolution. He said there's no cost.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
I don't know
Okay, perfect.
how
You get a
true
bill.
that is, but you get a bill. Supervisor Wolf.
it is asking for town, and then Columbia County is listed, so they're looking for a resolution from the county.
as well. too.
Well, oh, I can see why, because the timeline for completion on this page.
Yeah.
Is saying that in September through December, they would prepare documentation for, it looks like a New York State legislative bill. So I think they want to make sure that they have the local cooperation before they prepare the state bill. Because January introduced legislation.
I mean, you could put a resolve in saying, we understand there's no funding,
There you go.
you know.
I just was at the African American History Museum last week in DC, and the Underground Railroad and Harriet Tubman are such a central part of that story. And I think it's one of the things that we can be most proud of. And I'd like to hope that we could support this in some way. I mean, it was a huge thing in the museum.
And we've got a number of properties in Stuyvesant where there's folklore about that, but we've never proved it
We
too
have
much.
two
And, you know,
We have two sites in.
so I gave this resolution to my wife, who's a town historian now. And she had reached out to try and talk to somebody in this and never connected and, but we're not opposed to doing something in the town of Stuyvesant, but, I was just trying to get more clarity on the whole thing, you know.
I will be attending, so next week I'm at the State Tourism Conference.
Yeah.
And I will be attending a seminar, which will address this. And hopefully at that point, I will receive more information.
And if their timeline is September to December, we've got.
Yeah,
we
we've
have
got
a
a
month
little
or two to get your questions and our questions.
Oh, I think,
answered.
so there's a lot of people, a lot of counties and towns that have not done resolutions yet. It looks like there's over 57.
So
So
we can put it off to.
So, yeah, let's
Johnson.
just table this for this month and then we'll dig into it a little bit more and then
What
maybe
questions
Supervisor
do we
Wolf
want
can.
Adam to ask next week?
Yeah,
We really want to know what the funding obligation, if any, might be.
well, certainly that, I think we agree we'd like to celebrate it or, part of it, but, at least I can say that from my town, but what does it all mean? I'll read it a little more thorough too, man. I saw this was here and then I just said, oh, good, they'll explain this to me. I didn't read it really well.
And I was waiting for this meeting as well.
Right.
So I didn't look extensively, but I didn't see a map, a route map. You have a route map of
Yeah,
where
it was on there, wasn't it?
it's,
but it's not
It's
at a level that you could,
general.
Yeah, right, yeah.
because I think
we do. I believe it was in part of the documentation. If not, if I get it at the state.
okay, and when you come back to us, you can share.
A more localized map to say
Right.
where it is. And
Yeah.
you listed the roads and I can visualize it, but.
I mean, I think, as I said in the beginning, it seems to me the biggest commitment is just no new billboards. So I think that's the biggest question is.
Yeah.
Are
We're
we
not gonna
comfortable,
put,
are we comfortable not putting up new billboards?
Has there
along
been a
this
new
specific
billboard
route?
in 10 years?
So,
Well, that would become a local town jurisdiction, right? Do you ever approve them? For your planning or anything, is there?
One of the largest sign companies in the country in our town.
Well, I know, but I'm saying you've got a number of billboards along Route 9 as well too, but I don't know, do they come to the planning board and ask for permission? Do they just put them up? They've been there forever.
In our town, they require.
Remember a new one built though.
But I don't know.
How,
yeah, I can't remember if billboard thing that is. So that's,
I tell by my house. in the storm.
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, to me, that's why it seems like a low risk, is that,
Right.
hey, they wanted this thing, their request is we don't put in the billboards. I guess I don't know what the vibe is in your town. In my, in Hudson, people, that's like an easy thing to do.
Right, yeah.
And I would imagine that in any town, you put up a billboard, there's gonna be a lot of controversy to add a billboard as well.
You know when Linda would know this, the last billboard that Hudson had in its community itself was 24 North Fifth Street, right on that brick wall.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Remember that?
that was in
So the risk just got
sixties and
lower.
seventies. I'm not sure when it got taken down, but
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like, that's the south side of Columbia, like John Fout's old house, or
John who?
John Fout's old house, or like the
Yeah.
store? Okay,
That
That
was,
one,
yeah.
that red one there,
okay, yeah,
right on that big
interesting.
wall there.
So the other thing that maybe Adam could shed some light on is what was the intention of that invoice? If we hadn't been able to figure that out, why, was that a one-time bill? Would that be an annual?
That was a one-time bill to keep the program funded while they're going
This
through
rollout.
this rollout. Then once the state legislature passes everything and the byway is open, there will be an annual amount. Which the funding, they said not to exceed 5,000. They didn't give an exact amount though.
So we're trying to figure something out.
And then in-house, any in-house marketing of the program, there would be no funding. And as of now, it's not part of the I Love New York tourism promotion funds.
Because the first one just says contribution from Columbia County, $5,000 for support of the development of the corridor management plan for the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad proposed byway 2425.
So the state wants to earmark a highway and wants to pay for the sign. That's kind of weird. That's at least try for it.
Well, so did you get something from the electric trail asking for Kinrook to help?
Nothing.
Yeah.
You did?
I give them money.
That's the first one.
No, that's his invoice, yeah.
Okay, so it seems like
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe you want to clarify.
That's why we didn't pay.
that's why we wanted Razor Wolf to come with
we're
it.
tabling, and
We are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're tabling.
do you need a motion to table or do you just table?
Go ahead, make it.
I'm making a motion to table.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Stable.
Yeah, I'll reach out
Good
to
idea.
him to see what he wants to do.
Well, I'm just thinking that I can hear the noise, the bees are in they're buzzing in the hall.
lookers coming there,
Yeah.
Motion adjourned then?
Second.
All in favor?
Thanks for figuring this out.
All right, I'd like to call the Public Works meeting to order for April 16th. Before we call up the departments, I did want to just do this quick. Supervisor Dvorak had asked this committee if we would consider doing a letter of support for a SWAT program that Senator Hinchy has proposed. So we drafted this letter. The SWAT program is something where we would fund municipal public water and sewer projects.
like chips,
Yeah, like tips, basically.
sorely needed.
And I think that anybody that operates a town with a small water or sewer would appreciate some additional funding.
Yes, please.
Oh, yeah.
My question is,
Yes,
where?
how you doing
down there?
Our leach fields are leaking. We've got, 70 people who could be on the line for a lot of money and it's not pretty. Let's put it that way.
I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, if you do.
I'm blessed too. I don't have it, but I do
Yeah.
appreciate the need. I really do.
No, we have a village that has a water system. I fully support that.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
And I support you too.
Thank you,
Right.
thank you.
So anyway, this letter, if this committee makes a recommendation to support this letter, we would just have the chairman sign
I'll move
this
it.
on behalf of the
I second.
supervisor. Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye, here we
All right.
go.
All the sewer, you should have a sewer alliance. That's a committee.
Can you run yours all the way to Greenport? That might solve your problem.
It's called the Rojan Kill.
Right. All right, up first, we have Highway Department.
The Kaka cabal.
You can ride your bike.
I hope Tony's not buying anything,
but I'm not gonna buy them.
You might want to look away.
Let's see. Work schedule. Sadly, we have done some snow and ice operations recently.
Sadly, though.
Sadly, very sadly. I dismantled snow fence. We've been sweeping county roads, performing right-of-way cleanup, preparing for summer construction projects, washing bridges. The crew's still working on the water tower roadway project up by the Pistol Range. And we had a crew doing some catch basin repairs at 11 Warren Street for Ray. And ditch and culvert cleaning, maintenance, and some driveway pipe installations.
I have a question.
Of course.
Catch basin repairs, I don't see Anchordale there on that.
I don't have it. Ray? Personnel, 2 senior motor equipment operators are out on extended medical leave. And we hired a welder who will be starting, not this coming Monday, the following Monday.
All right.
New
Finally.
business? What's that?
Finally, right?
Finally, yeah, he's got a lot of work ahead of him.
Yeah, I know. Wendy said she's got work up there too.
Yeah, I know.
If he gets bored.
Send him right up there to Pat's dumpsters and loving it.
Right.
We'll be gone in a week.
God, I hope not. 4 of our road foremen attended and completed a stormwater management class presented by Cornell Local Roads that was sponsored by the Town Highway Superintendents Association. So the Town Highway Superintendent Association paid for it through Cornell. So it was free for our people to go to. Resolution requests. Authorization to purchase 2 2026 Western Star 49X dump trucks with plow equipment.
Come on, Jim.
I'm not making a motion.
That is correct.
Those are tandem axles. right?
Yeah, they're tandem axles, yeah. Tandem axles with
Fully
belly-
outfitted.
fully outfitted with belly blades and all the. good
I hope
stuff.
so. Well, if we're gonna do it, we better do it before the tariff kicks in, so.
Ours was 3.25 and we got it, what, 3 years ago or
Yeah.
something? So,
Yeah.
you know.
we can only get electric. I know.
Right, yeah, that's another.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it.
Motion is second, all in
So, Wanda,
favor?
how much is it? I'm sorry, how much is coming from chips and how much? Is
One is
Yeah.
coming, one of them is coming out of chips and the other one is coming out of that, H fund, which is what we talked about, the ban and it.
Borrowing money,
Yeah,
right,
borrowing,
you know.
yeah, okay. Yep.
Do we have all in favor?
We have a motion.
Aye.
They're not getting any cheaper. that's for
No.
sure. Next one's authorization to declare, Highway Unit 22 and Highway Unit 186 surplus. One of them's a pickup truck, one of them is a mowing tractor. We're gonna be sold at auction.
Second.
Your motion is second, all in favor? I did not have a resolution to sign then.
You did it?
For that. Oh, yes, I do. I'm sorry. Here it is. Yep. I skipped by it. I read through the other
Air
thing.
sign.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're on record. so.
Okay.
That is all I had.
Any other questions for Tony?
Thank you. Yeah, that was something, Jet, where your plows all hooked up, Greenport. I got a call. They said, we'll be out as soon as the plows get on.
Our winds were off, but our plows
Yeah.
were ready to go, yeah.
That was something.
Yeah.
Quite a surprise. Yes, it-
Hopefully we're done with that now.
Yeah.
No, it is April, you know.
Put them on the end of summer. You never know.
That's right.
We've had it snow
like that in May.
Yes.
Sometimes we need to use the plows to push the tree limbs out of the way after the windstorm too.
That was yesterday. That was down in
Yeah.
Southport. There was stuff all over the debris.
That morning of the snow, the trees are all
Yeah.
over, the power lines are.
Right.
Yeah, it was heavy.
All right. If there's no other questions for Tony, we'll move on to engineering.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Ray got his agenda in early. this
He
time.
did.
See that? I was a good boy. At least
I
this,
was shocked.
at least this one. Get a hot day.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi there, Ray.
Columbia County Transportation Committee had met, and we had met with New York State Department of Transportation for the purposes of reviewing the ongoing projects that the county has, as well as some of the townships that are in the city of Hudson that have state-funded projects under the State Transportation Improvement Plan. So we had reviewed the status of those and also discussed funding allocations, in addition to a new funding opportunity to develop a county-wide roadway departure action plan, and then to implement that action plan as far as making improvements. So this is a new program through New York State DOT. And again, lane departure is basically trying to keep everybody within their lane. So sometimes if you're driving on the state roads, you'll have the rumble strips on the fog line and sometimes on the center line. That's an example of a method that is utilized. But it could also include guide rail installations, replacements. It could also include signage and things of that nature. So we're looking at some of the eligible roadway systems and seeing what county roads are included, and we plan on making a submission for the June 13th deadline as far as our application. In addition to that, I am meeting with New York State DOT tomorrow to discuss obtaining additional funding through the State Transportation Improvement Plan associated with several of the ongoing projects that we have. One of them being Stuyvesant Pass Bridge, obviously because we'll need additional funding for that, as well as County Route 7A. I do have an updated cost estimate on that, and also Buckwheat Bridge. And the reason Buckwheat Bridge is included is last year when that project was awarded, we were only awarded a portion, not the entire amount of what we had requested, because New York State DOT was trying to spread the wealth, including the programming to the town of Hillsdale for their bridge. So we're just, there is money available, and we're making that request.
Be careful, you'll remember
County Route 7 over the Rojan, shop drawings for the new precast three-sided culvert have been approved. The structure is currently in the process of being cast, so it's in production. We've prepared the IMA and submitted that to the town of Gallatin. Town of Gallatin supervisor has indicated that he's ready to sign that, so I hope to get that before the end of the week. I just got an update as far as the anticipated schedule, and it looks like they're going to try to close the road on May 5th with an anticipated construction start of May 12th. So they actually moved the construction schedule up by a couple of weeks. In speaking with Colarusso, they indicated that they'll be providing the message boards, so those will be going out beginning of next week, and then we'll actually reach out to the 911, schools, mails, and everyone providing notification of the roadway closure. Bill Hill, the stream disturbance permit has been approved. Construction contracts have been signed. Utility company is in the process of relocating the utility poles. A pre-construction meeting has been held, and the contractor submitted shop drawings for the bearing pads and steel girders. We do anticipate starting that construction sometime in May, but I have not got an actual start date as of yet. But it may happen within a very similar time frame as far as County Route 7. It is the same contractor. And literally the two structures, are located within a mile of one another. County Route over the Punza Creek. County Engineering Department met with the consultant Creighton Manning, reviewed the scope and fee for that new design. This is a second structure on that particular roadway, and I do have a resolution attached for consideration. Buckwheat Bridge met with the design group GPI to again also get a design scope, but then also talk about some of the goals for that particular project, which actually includes lengthening the bridge from currently it is 67 feet in length. It's anticipated that because of an existing hydraulic obstruction that the abutments cause within the streamway, that DEC, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, will require that we increase that to approximately 105 to 110 feet in width. That will remove that hydraulic restriction, reduce the flooding that occurs along Buckwheat Road, but we will also look at an alignment as well. It's interesting, the county and the townships, both Livingston and Claremont, looked at replacing that bridge in its entirety and realigning that roadway back in 1966, but just never was able to get all of the properties and move forward on that project. So we're revisiting history a bit on that one.
What do you say, you're gonna go 60 something to 110 feet? That's
67,
pretty big expansion.
yeah, it is. Well, so anytime we're dealing with a stream, and we need to deal with replacing any of the abutments, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, not only for a bridge, but even culverts. So townships should be aware of this. If there's any type of permitting process that's required, New York State DEC has jurisdiction, and one of those requirements that they have, as far as their new requirements as of this year, is to expand the span of the structure to 1.25 times the mean water level of that water course, whatever that is. So in this case, it needs to be 1.5 times. So again, we're increasing it by more than a quarter.
Okay.
So keep in mind for any,
Further downstream.
Right.
that's right, to the next structure.
Okay.
That's okay. That's a New York State DOT bridge. We'll let them worry about that. But yeah, so please keep that in mind. Pass that on to your highway superintendent.
Jim did that in Akron years ago. I remember Art got money for a bridge down there and they made him build it twice as big as it was originally. And,
Yeah, for the past 5
have a
years.
special funding. That was DEC,
Right.
you know.
So for the past 5 years, it's always been a guideline.
Yeah.
This year, starting in
Okay.
2025 in January, it's now a requirement.
Yeah.
911 center building rough framing has been completed and contractors installing the exterior sheathing and the electrician is starting their roughing work. So that continues to move along very nicely. 11 Warren Engineering Department, we received the 90% construction drawings from the design team as well as the project manual. I've scheduled a meeting with the department heads and the design team for April 18th. That's this Friday, to do a final walkthrough of the documents and then place the project out to bid. The airport, FAA has confirmed that the county may use up to $750,000 of available bipartisan infrastructure law money. That's known as bill money, to cover the construction costs associated with the terminal building. So those improvements, we received state funding. There was a bit of a shortfall. We requested that additional $750,000 to make up that shortfall, and FAA has indicated that they'll fund the work. While I'm talking about the airport, just to bring up the unfortunate tragedy of the airplane crash in Copeg, we have facilities and engineering. We've been sharing information with the FAA and the NTSB, so that way they can continue and complete their investigation. So since Columbia County 1 Bravo 1, the airport was the destination point, they wanted to obtain information from the airport as it pertains to weather data and so forth. So we're sharing that information with them so that way they can complete that investigation. Water District, we received the preliminary engineer's report. Current engineer's estimate is that the project will be at 3.1 million, which is consistent with the past cost estimates that I had prepared and budgeted for within the county budget. We also submitted an addition, we had submitted for a grant in the amount of $500,000 to the New York State County Infrastructure Grant Program that was due back on April 1st. So we'll wait to hear back, but that would definitely help us as well. The Highway Department has just about completed the access road. We're just waiting for soil borings at this point, and then we'll be able to move forward with the final design. I also have a meeting next week with National Grid to discuss how we can bring power into that facility as well. Once we get to that point, I'll be able to go before the town of Ghent as far as any planning board reviews or anything that has to take place.
Do we have to do FAA approval for that?
Yes, we do. Yeah, that's all. We wanted to get the preliminary design completed.
Yeah.
We, back in 2011, when the feasibility report was put together, they had reached out, Clough Harbor at the time had reached out to the FAA regarding a site that was located within 300 feet of where I've cited the tank. At the
That
time,
was the water study feasibility thing.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
yes, my
yeah,
apologies.
right.
That was a water study feasibility report and tank siting that was done back in
I still have a
2011. That was
copy of that in
never.
my office. Would you like that back?
No, you
Did
didn't.
I? Okay.
You didn't.
All right.
But within that study, they had reached out to FAA. FAA had come back indicating what the ceiling level was for that particular location.
Okay.
So we use that as a guide.
All right.
But we do still have to go back
That's the
and,
change. the
and get an
rules.
updated, get an updated determination. So that'll be the next step after we accept the, preliminary study. Solid waste, we had a work group meeting on April 10th. Purpose was, to revisit to discuss the recent site visit at the Greenport Transfer Station, as well as exploring options to increase revenue, decrease costs, while continuing to provide the residents of the county access to solid waste services. So that's an ongoing process. We have another meeting coming up in May, which I have homework assignments on. Which I have to get to. The first resolution request is for an actual change order for two contracts, one for a general contractor and one for an electrical contractor, to install and upgrade the existing Grandinetti Drive sanitary pump station. So the county had bonded this project and also received funding through Environmental Facilities Corporation. New York State EFC identified that the county had $450,000 of funding available that was not expended. And so we had provided a request to include this upgrade, which was not part of the original project, as a upgrade to the overall system. EFC has granted that request. And so based on that, we were able to move forward with a proposed change order because we actually never closed out those contracts with those two contractors. Now, these are the contractors that worked on that transmission system that included the pump stations and transmission
Well, we
mains.
started talking to everybody about this 2 years ago or more.
Correct, but we never got formal approval we never got formal approval from EFC regarding the design. We just received that late winter, and then finance approved this particular request.
Yeah.
So it has been quite a while.
Yeah.
That this has been sitting out there.
Move it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Thank you. Next resolution is for professional services with Craig Manning for County Route 7 bridge replacement, pin 876351.
I'll move it. Yeah, second. It's ugly.
We got a
Does
motion,
inspire a lot of confidence there from the roadway.
motion and a second, all in favor?
And again, this is a New York State funded, Bridge New York funded project. Second request, very similar, another Bridge New York, funded project, and this is professional service agreement with GPI.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Last resolution is a general resolution, regarding, transferring ownership of an old railroad bed, part of the Boston Albany Railroad bed from Columbia County, to the Ghent Sportsmen's Association.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
It's, yes, it is. So it's located in the Commerce Park by the Fire Training Center. So it goes to the existing pump station that was part of the upgrade.
So it's just, we're just making it better.
Yeah,
More
exactly.
efficient.
It's more efficient. We're not increasing capacity as far as any additional use or anything of that nature. It's just replacing the existing pump station that was there.
Okay. Thank you. This is doing
Questions for Ray? Oh, you're awful easy on him tonight, you know,
I have a
find out there.
DOT representatives you're meeting with, the concern the first couple.
Mr. Mannix, Bob Mannix.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. He was.
I still gotta try to, I'll speak offline. It's about a town visit.
Yeah, so Mr. Mannix, Bob Mannix, he handles, loosely put, he handles the purse strings as far as those programs. when it comes to funding and seeing where we can schedule projects based on the funding allocation for those particular years as well as.
No, good guy.
Yeah, he's been very helpful in the past.
Thank you.
All right, up next we have facilities.
What's up,
Mr.
Brian?
McDonald.
How you doing?
I heard you were off yesterday. How'd that happen?
Yeah, I know, right? See, whenever I take a day off, something happens.
Something happened. That's what Matt said. You know, I called him and he's not in town.
Yeah, sinkhole in Hudson, like, oh my God.
It's a sinkhole, isn't it?
Right down, just like on the entrance of 325. Luckily, it was far enough back where it didn't disrupt any, business. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Are you doing resolutions or your report first?
Not a report, you guys. I would need to do a couple of things. Let's see here, 325, we assisted with the shredding truck. We currently moved a bunch of thermostats on the third floor and other offices to try and keep the system running a little better. Where they were put were in areas where like a water cooler or something is throwing off our temperature reading. So I'm just waiting to see. I saw a couple. I think I got to replace them. I got a couple new ones they gave me, so I'm going to work on that. Currently, we're painting the first floor of the health department. 401, as you know,
We did hear compliments on that last night.
Yeah. They were all excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So, next step will probably be carpet at some point, but we're probably going to do that over time. Yeah.
Don't say that word.
I wouldn't have a carpet in town of Greenport.
Oh,
No
yeah.
way. Oh, heck no.
Chambers were all set in there. The only thing left to do is buy hanging speakers. As long as how's the sound in there? Good when you guys were in there? I think you said by one it was better. All right. So we were just waiting to see if we were gonna raise them up. So let's see here.
You're gonna get rid of the old ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 610 replace a couple toilet repair, sinks and everything. Like this stuff is so old, we can't even get parts to change anything or even match everything up. So luckily we had a sink in the basement here, so we didn't have to, not like spending too much money there.
Yeah. We continue to work on that for you.
Yeah. It's coming. I'm like,
It's only been 10 or 12 years,
Yeah.
but it's coming.
Let's see, courthouse, we installed 2 new garage doors. They came out really nice. Like I said, the front steps, we're still repairing them from time to time. Over at the jail, we had with their new upgrade, we couldn't find prints or plans which showed where the wires or the pipes were to get out to for the camera. So they asked us to retrench all new pipe out there for them so they could hook all the cameras on the outside of the perimeter. Airport, cut brush and cleared the north gate. Routine checks are done. Highway repaired, sign shop outlets, heaters, diesel pump repairs, the usual. So that's pretty much it. This one here, the first one. All right, so that one is authorization to fill 1 vacant full-time labor position. The effective date's not going to go until July 14th. I figured I'd ask for it now. It's what it's doing is I'm going to eventually have an upgrade on the next one, and then that's my body that I'm going to be able to get. So
move it.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
The next one I had is authorization to make changes to one of the positions due to retirement. We're looking at abolishing a maintenance worker position and then creating a cleaner position because kind of right now we're trying to do 2 different avenues, like buildings and then maintenance. So this way there's more opportunities and for the guys in the buildings, even though a lot of times they're not doing any of the maintenance, but if they could be good workers, there's nowhere for them to go. So this is actually saving the county money. So
move it then. It doesn't pay for Tony's trucks. You know,
And what was that effective for?
That effective date is gonna be, June 2nd.
and a motion and a second, all in favor?
That's all I got.
Questions for Brian? The chambers looks good. I don't know if I could give you more credit or Kelly for designing it.
Well, she was the designer.
I know the
on that
chairman was
one.
nervous about it, but it looks good now.
Very nervous.
I think we're okay, you know, yeah.
It's only been 10 years in the making.
That's right.
Oh, by the way, does anyone, the desks out there,
Oh,
are you
yeah.
sure you guys don't want to put them in your town halls?
We
or-
were hoping-
Here, one, please.
we
Those
were
metal
hoping
ones
you
out
might
there?
extend that design down to.
I'm
Either
trying.
side. That would make sense.
I am trying.
We got carpet
Another
next year. What do you want? You know,
All I know is that I'm sitting in a chair where my chin barely meets the top of the bed.
yeah. And does it keep sinking during the meeting too, you know? We'll give you a cushion.
Okay.
All right, Wendy's up next for solid waste.
Brenda, is it up all the way? It is?
I think it's adjustments. I'll look at it.
Yeah.
Switch your chair.
I'll look for you too.
I really want the desk.
You and me both. But those desks weigh about 500 pounds apiece.
Yeah.
Right, Brian?
Those things are awful.
They're terrible.
We'll gladly,
Sorry.
No, you're good. So we finally did our bloodborne pathogen training. That was on Friday the 4th. I actually did pictures so that you could see. We did it in.
Improve it to us. Good
I
for
know,
you.
well,
Yeah, right.
it's our new admin.
I like the
building, So I
input,
got to be able to have it in our admin building. We did a part-time session and then, well, full-time session and then a part-time session. So it kind of shows the interior of our, like what you can do with the space. Just 3 employees were missing, 1 part-timer and 2 full-timers. So
Did HR do the training or?
no, the Department of Health came in
Oh, okay.
for me and did the bloodborne pathogen and then 11 employees stayed for the Narcan and 7 for AED. So it was nice.
Have you had any hypodermic needles in?
Of late, no.
Good.
No, not since I have been trying to coordinate this. We've been good, so that's good.
Just the idea that they could.
Yeah. We'll begin recycling education at all the stations. This is going to be periodically and as time allows because it will probably be me going to the stations. And so I don't have a whole lot of time during the week to do this. And we'll be doing it on Saturdays as well. But it's basically, again, it's going to be pretty much old school table. This is what you can recycle. Stop putting this in the recycling. Because if I see one more dirty tissue or paper towel, I will probably lose my mind. So that is going to take place starting. I'm trying to start it next week because the 55th anniversary of Earth Day is April 22nd. The theme last year was pretty cool because it was about plastics. This year is about our planet. So our website is not talking about that because we're solid waste, right? So I added a top 5 list of items that are going in the recycling that probably shouldn't. That is our link to our website. If you haven't checked it out, you should.
It is a very organized website. I get
It's a work in progress, but we're every day we're updating it and it looks pretty good. Just wanted to kind of touch base. Can I skip this one and I'll do this last? So permission, I'm asking permission to pursue a 1-year extension on our garbage contract. It's written in the contract that we have 3 1-year extensions.
Just in a motion? Or is that a resolution?
That's actually a resolution because it's a contract
You don't have it, though.
to extend it for 1 year.
Well, that was not.
But if you want to do a motion, do it.
And then follow.
And then
And
just
then
give
follow
me
up
the
with
resolution.
Okay, so yes, I
I'll
would
move it.
like, thank you.
Second it.
Okay.
Motion and second, all in favor of extending the
The
contract.
supervisor or the chairman won't sign it if.
It's not a
Right.
final resolution.
Okay, so a resolution.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? I missed it. Then I'll, and who's second? Tim? Okay, thanks.
Somebody.
Somebody's putting it down.
So just send me over.
I
the
have
resolution,
sent it
and
over.
we'll put it-
Okay. And then as Ray had mentioned, the work group did identify some that we could do things to help increase revenue. And
Like send a note out to the towns about their cleanup day and adjusting the prices.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I got mine.
yes.
But you know what? I support it.
That's right. I do too.
appreciate that.
I
It's
support
not-
it.
I did not get support from everyone that was sent that, so,
Well, you
that-
came to us when you've been charged us less than $100 a ton.
right,
forever,
well, the
right? So-
128 a ton, that's non-negotiable, right? Because that was a resolution that was
Right.
passed.
Yep. Right.
The tires is normal. That was kind of what we've been doing, all along. I threw the mattress in as kind of like Hail Mary to see how that would land, and it didn't land well with everyone, so, we might have a conversation with all of the towns that do the cleanup and see what we can do with that.
Well, I can't speak for all the towns, but I think we don't have a problem in Chatham paying that much for the mattresses because they'll end up on the side of the road.
Right.
I already had 3 of them I had to call and have them pulled out of the side of the ditch seriously.
Okay.
And again, nobody wants to spend more money, but all of our residents are very pleased with that program. And if it costs money, it costs money. I don't think that the county's looking to cut back, the budget here, and the towns can afford to
Maybe
do
an
this.
email from you would be,
I did, you respond that, but I can elaborate on it if you'd like, but.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we support keeping the program going,
For sure.
and the cost of it.
Great.
Right.
It costs our
Well,
costs,
when you're being tasked to,
Right,
save money and
Right.
increase the revenue, but then we're taking all of these
Those are unfair
services and
things, right.
we're not supposed
That's what
to
I'm
be
saying, an email
servicing,
from the
so,
chair.
okay.
Yep.
And the delivery, I mean, you guys are shuffling this stuff around for us and it's like custom price, I thought it was reasonable.
every year we pave roads or buy trucks, it costs more money too, so it just is what it is.
Okay. Okay, and now back to my New York State bills. So we've been following a few that are out there right now. One of them is talking about mattress collection program, which has been interesting. It is requiring the producers to establish a plan for convenient and cost-effective recycling of used mattresses. That's kind of just hanging out right now. There's not a whole lot to it. We're following it specifically because we don't have a whole lot of options right now for recycling. So if this gains some traction, then they're going to have to come up with places to mattress recycle, which would be fantastic. And the rechargeable battery recycling, there's already a bill in effect right now. And then it's EPR, so extended producer responsibility. They are looking to increase the size of the battery in this particular bill that they have, which would include batteries that would go in like the mobility scooters and your e-bikes and electric scooters and stuff like that. Because right now it's just all the small rechargeable batteries like in your power tools and whatnot. So I am specifically following this one because I am burdened with mobility scooter batteries because of my son, and there's no real way to get rid of them. So this is basically telling the people selling them that you're not going to be able to sell them if you can't take them back to dispose of them properly, which is fantastic because we do get calls a lot about wheelchair batteries and that kind of stuff, and we don't have a place to put them. It's call where you bought them. And a lot of times those manufacturers or those retailers are saying we don't take them. So we're looking at that one just to kind of keep track of it. The one I really wanted to talk to everyone tonight about is the extended producer responsibility designated for plastics, basically.
We passed it and came in Monday night.
Yeah, so this bill hit the Senate and the Assembly floor last year, and it didn't make it. They had included the bottle bill in with it, and some other things that made it a little less attractive. They came back this year. It's fast tracking right now. It's looking quite good. And they are, that I didn't see the bottle bill in it. Okay, thank you. And it's really holding the manufacturers and the producers accountable for what they're putting their products in, how they're retailing it, and how to dispose of it, and taking a little bit of that pressure off of the consumers, and then more so the municipalities, because we're being burdened with all of these packaging right now. And a lot of the plastics, there is no market, and they are going to the landfill, and a lot of the plastics are not being recycled. When I first wanted to talk about this, I didn't think about, asking for support. I apologize, Kelly. But I do have, I'm asking if you don't know about these bills. I mean, I have copies of them, but to look at them, but I would love if the Columbia County Board of Supervisors would, say, yes, we support this, and call on the Senate and Assembly to pass this and to allow the governor to sign it and say that you support this legislation. I have a resolution request, but I think it's a little, you're not quite informed with all of it, so I can hold it off until next month. But basically, it's more than 18 million tons of MSW is generated each year, which is about 5 pounds per person. Per day in this state. We're running out of, yes, it's a lot. So we're running out of landfill space. Greenhouse gas emissions from the waste sector represent about 12% of the statewide emissions. We're working on that with our climate smart communities right now. The most significant greenhouse gas emissions impact during the life cycle of products and packagings result not from the disposal, but from the production. So the production of these plastics are adding even more greenhouse gas. So it's a significant burden on the local government and the taxpayers to dispose of this. And so I'm asking, I support this. I think that we should really look into it. If we enact the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act, it would create an extended producer responsibility program for packaging materials, which does not exist right now. And we have the bottle bill, but the bottle bill is not for everything. This legislation, besides helping with the greenhouse gas emissions, it incentivizes producers to reduce waste and design products that are more sustainable. And moving forward, we're running out of landfill space. So we need to really think about more sustainability. It's also going to prohibit certain toxic and dangerous chemicals in the packaging, including the PFAS, which are still being put into the packaging materials right now, along with heavy metals and lead and chemicals and all of these other words that I can't pronounce. And so it's just something that I know that right now it's not a bipartisan bill. And I don't want it to pass without it being a bipartisan bill. So I strongly, on behalf of the Solid Waste Department, hope that you can look at this bill, read about it, call me if you have questions, talk to other towns that have, like the town of Canaan, that have decided to support this bill. And I would love to, get the County Board of Supervisors on board to consider sending a letter with.
Well, would you prefer?
Do you have a resolution drafted?
I do have a resolution drafted.
I don't, if somebody wants to move that, I don't have an issue with that. I think the devil is always in the details. That's been the issue with this. When they enact this, and they're going to enact this, if they approve it at the state legislature, the way I understand it, then they would devise a system with finance to try and, move some money around. And how that works, I'm leery of that sometimes. But I do agree with you that we do need to try and make the manufacturers more accountable. And that could, and no doubt would probably reduce some of our waste.
They should figure out how to use less.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and there it is. This is a cumbersome bill. There's a lot that needs to be done in
Yeah.
order for it to actually work. But we know that the EPR bill for the recyclable batteries is working.
Right.
Because we can get rid of the smaller scale batteries right now at the places that are selling them, which is huge because
Paint care seems to be working,
and paint
you
care
know.
is working, so.
And I just received the email, with a sample resolution from Judith and, from, what do you call it? On the way down here that I would have shared with you, but it came like when I got here, but, again, you're the expert. That's right.
I'd support you in sending that resolution to the full board. I mean, I think you read the gist of it for this committee, right? I'd make a motion to send.
Brian, did you want to comment before we,
No, I just wanted to say I agree with what with your position and also with your concerns, but the two things that stood out to my board was that 40% of the waste in landfills is discarded packaging. And the state is already on track for closing all landfills in New York State by 2030.
Yes.
So we have a perfect storm. And the states that are accepting, quote, out of state solid waste and C&D are way far away. So the trucking costs, the carbon footprint associated with moving that MSW is going to be exponentially more than what we're paying now. So I think what our board, we liked all of the other pieces about the, reducing the waste, but I think we understood that this is really going to be a huge cost to our community if we don't start planning for it now. And waste reduction is low hanging fruit. And we used the Judith resolution that we modified that for.
right, yeah. It sounds like Wendy's been a little bit more thorough than that in a couple of her words, but, So Donnell, did you make a motion
I
to,
did.
Yeah.
motion and a second, all in favor? All right.
And I think the timing's right, because the session's over at the end of May, right?
It
Don't
is.
they adjourn in June? So the sooner if you do this in May, we'll get it there before the session's over.
A long time ago, you mentioned, that the Juul batteries for hazmat, has anything been done to address that?
No, and it's interesting that you bring that up because I was just on a webinar yesterday talking about battery recycling and EPR throughout the country really and what's happening. And that's still a problematic issue across the board. And there is a federal law that is not being adhered to in regards to those types of vape pens that you can't remove the batteries for. And so that's something it was just yesterday. So it was very hard for me I don't have enough information on it. I don't know what that federal law specifically states, but it's considered medical waste because of, and hazardous waste, but it's not hazardous waste that we can accept at household hazardous waste collection day because of the nicotine, which is chemical, medical type of waste. And then you have these batteries that you can't remove. So the batteries that you can't remove are attached to medical and hazardous waste. And these batteries are small, but they can create fires. So it's an issue, but there are
Every
lots
invention creates another waste problem, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a hot topic right now within, advocacy groups, trying to figure out what to do with that.
The other thing's going to be solar panels, because
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I do have something on that.
Cadmium and chromium.
In
Races will be the
your
next
free
big time.
I would love for you guys to go and look at Niagara County's legislative of their local law. I don't know what local law it is, but it's from 2021. They're the first county in the state that established a solar panel recycling regulation. And it basically makes the people coming in, putting them in, they have to have an end game. They have to have in writing the regulations.
Kind of like a manufacturer responsibility. You have to.
And it's really good.
Above a decommissioning policy.
Yes.
So you have to
Because
make them,
decommissioning policies apparently can be gotten out of.
Most people will tell you that there's a scrap value and that defers the
Yeah,
value
so
of getting
it's
rid of them.
really, it's local law number 4 of 2021. I actually have one copy of it. It's pretty interesting, and I just know that we're a little behind, like, we have so many solar fields happening right now,
Yeah.
but moving forward, I mean.
no, I'm writing a solar
Columbia
law
County
right now.
mentioning that. Columbia County could really, at least have a plan. So you have an end game, you know what's gonna happen.
If they're doing business.
Yeah, then finding the rightful owner will be a real challenge.
But even when you go to the state, in the different NISAC meetings or in AOT meetings, they'd have state representatives from Hokel's office, and they're just hoping that the recycling catches up with the
Right, yeah.
industry with the lifespan of the panels that are going in. They're just hoping. They're like,
But they don't know.
Right, but
They
we
don't-
have panels, right, but we have panels that are trying to be decommissioned now, and there's no place to put them. I mean, out west, there's a place out west. It's not really feasible for us, right? But it's like the satellite dishes too, right? So, these satellite dishes, these big, huge satellite dishes went up everywhere, and then it was, as they kept getting smaller, they're like, oh, wait, what are we supposed to do with these? It's the same thing.
yeah, but it's like, cut those with a torch.
Yeah.
More waste, right?
It's like slim pickings. And
Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
What do you want?
Maybe
And if
something
you
we
want,
should
I
do.
could just scan and email it.
Yeah,
That's
probably
exactly what I
the
was doing
easiest.
right now.
Oh,
Okay.
That website.
You even have it good.
Yes.
And could you just send me was it Jocelyn? Judith, yes. Could you send that around?
She was the regional director for EPA, right?
Yeah, right, she was, yeah,
And she's been working on this for 3 years anyway.
right. Yeah, I just got it from her and somebody else. I don't know, it just came, but
Somebody sent it around. Was it NISAC or somebody sent it around? I can't remember.
Yeah, I did the one.
Rebecca
last year, but it
Martin and
was a
Judith
10
and.
cent item that
Last
really
year,
got that tossed.
The
Yeah.
bottle bill, yeah, last year's EPR. Which was a sticking point for me. I like the idea of what they're trying to do, but I just wanted to keep the bottle bill out of it. And they did.
Yeah.
Well,
I know there was a good,
Your roadsiders along with us.
session on this a couple of years ago at NISA conference on that EPR. And again, that was my concern is how does it get active,
Yeah.
I was worried that the state will take $1 and give us 10 cents back, but,
No, it's not.
all right, any other questions for, you can have that back, we'll get copies.
Would you like, just an email from the towns that you sent the increases for the cleanup days in support of your price increase?
Well, that's what I asked the chairman.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to, Chairman Knott about that. I mean, it was not a whole lot of resistance,
Yeah.
so.
I was by the.
I could send an email and say, see what that idiot Collins wrote?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Have a happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah,
Or-
you too.
Try to,